Australians have big hearts. We love to get behind causes, support people in need. And I think that it's the manipulation of that goodwill that I find so incredibly frustrating when I see it happening. First of all, I have to say I totally understand the frustrations of the past 18 months for people, for small business owners, for essential workers, for teachers, for parents, for friends and family who aren't able to see each other. COVID has caused an incredible amount of mental strain, emotional strain, economic strain for people across the country and of course across the world. And so it is a very frustrating time and emotions are running hot, and I understand that people maybe don't feel represented that well, that they don't feel like they're getting their voices heard in a way that is resulting in the kind of support that they need, whether it's through opportunity, whether it's economic, whether it's just the chance to go and hang out with friends and family. And that is a real challenge for people, and I get it. It's incredibly frustrating and it makes life difficult, and life has been difficult for many of us for the last 18 months. Having said that, I've seen a video go viral from a woman named Carly, who's now claiming to be a small business advocate and a voice of the people, and getting a lot of traction, and it's getting on the television and all of these sorts of things. And I've seen also on the same social media platforms that she's gone viral on, people sharing little sort of anonymous anecdotes about times that they were mistreated and perhaps ripped off and these sorts of things. Now, I understand anonymous sources aren't really great sources all the time, and I also understand the frustration of us being a small business owner and sort of acting in good faith and sort of being taken advantage of. It happens, and it's a really challenging thing to happen to a small business owner, and obviously can be very damaging to the business. I also understand the importance of supporting people having mental health struggles, and I think it's important that we constantly advocate for and work towards a system that supports people the way they need to be supported, regardless of how they come to need help, both for their mental well-being and their economic stability and opportunity. That is incredibly important, and we need to take it seriously. I think that Australians do a great job of taking it seriously. The last 15 years, our discourse on mental health has improved heaps and people really get behind it. And that's a fantastic development over the past sort of 15 years. But we don't want to see it co-opted by people who, in their day-to-day interactions, are actually causing negative mental, emotional and economic impacts for others. So I wanted to just get some information out that's on the public record. It's available from the ASIC website, about a person who is claiming to care about small business and also claiming that COVID and the management of COVID is the reason that her business isn't doing very well. And a person who has asked people to dip into their pockets to support her directly because of these challenges that she has allegedly been facing because of COVID and because of the management of COVID in Australia and the inadequate or supposedly inadequate support for her in lockdown. We want to keep this fact-based. I'm not here to argue about all these other contentious things. We just want to keep some facts on the table so that people can make their own decisions about the integrity of this person and whether or not they're going to be a suitable representative for the challenges that small businesses face and the kinds of people we want to represent the challenges and opportunities that are faced by small business in this country. Carly's previous company was called 21159, and 21159 is now in external administration, which is kind of like company bankruptcy for people who aren't quite sure. When you're in administration, it essentially someone is appointed to try and resolve the affairs of the business, pay back money that you owe anyone, any creditors, and wind the business up. So going bankrupt, but for a business. And a person is appointed called a liquidator that takes care of that. Now, meetings with the liquidator for 21159 were first held at the end of 2019, and the appointment was made in 2020, early 2020, before COVID, before there were any of these COVID challenges. At the time, Carly Soderstrom was the sole director of this company. In terms of assets in the company, she claimed there was about $3,000 worth of stock, and then a car, which if you follow her on social media, you would have seen, owned by the company or financed in the company's name. A report on company activities and property was requested. It never came through, but a statement of activities was provided. And that statement of activities showed sort of the final balance sheet or what was going on with the business at the time. And this is a point that I think is incredibly important. At the time of the winding up of the company, of which Carly was the sole director, that outstanding debts of $406,122. Of that outstanding debt, the unsecured creditors, the people who have maybe provided goods, services or cash, things that are unsecured, they're not secured against like a property or things like that. So the recovery can be a little bit more challenging. But the unsecured debts at 21159 totaled to $386,542. That includes that $64,000 in unpaid tax, and then a bunch of sort of other people. I can't comment on what the other people are or do. I'll redact them here, but that's people who haven't got a lien. So while there is some banking financing there on a credit card, unsecured credit card, the rest of the things would be businesses. They would be businesses, or they would be people that are unable to reclaim their money to the tune of the better part of $400,000. The liquidator in the report also has to make a sort of judgment call on whether or not the company was trading while insolvent. Now, trading while insolvent means that you are continuing to operate when you're not in a position to be able to pay bills as they come up. So for a business that buys and sells from other businesses, trading while insolvent essentially means that I'm buying things without the means to be able to pay for them. So I might be getting them on credit or doing these sorts of things. And actually, as if you trade with a business that's trading while insolvent, your chance of having provided them goods or services, and at that time they're unable to pay for it, so you are going to end up left with the bill, unable to recoup your money. Trading while insolvent is illegal. You're not allowed to do it, but the books and accounting don't appear to have all been passed over during the process of the liquidation proceedings, so it's unclear. And the liquidator just says that the company was likely trading while insolvent. Obviously, trading while insolvent is a very serious problem, but it's not a definitive answer, but just likely that with the number of debts on the books and income, sort of having a look at it all, going, yes, probably this company, which was run by Carly, was trading while insolvent, so incurring debts that they weren't able to pay. So at this stage, we end up with a person who has, at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, before the impacts of COVID, has wound up the company while owing $400,000, including a significant amount of money to the tax department. Again, this is all public knowledge. This isn't a secret. It's not some private document. You can go and check it out. So this person that is claiming to be the representative of small business and the everyman and freedom and all of these sorts of things is also the person that has wound up a company while owing $400,000 just at the beginning of 2020, as we go into one of the most challenging economic periods for a lot of families and individuals and small businesses and people that invest in things and maybe haven't recouped their money and are left holding the bag. And so then after that has gone and bought, according to social media posts, bought new equipment, set up a studio at home, doing this other stuff, gone on holidays after liquidating a company that was unable to pay the people or companies that it had been purchasing things from to the tune of $400,000, and then asked for money from people who, out of the goodness of their hearts, have reached into their pockets and contributed. And I just think there are so many people, so many places that would benefit from that. And I know from my work every day that there are so many places that money could do a really fantastic amount of good for people who really do contribute, who really do care, really do show up, and aren't just taking advantage of the goodwill of others. And so this PSA just had to make one, because cold hard facts are cold hard facts, and they need to get out there, and people need to be aware of the kinds of people that they want representing them. And I understand the need for better representation, and I hope we get it. I hope that everyone ends up getting the economic and emotional support that they need to navigate these challenging times. And it is important to have good representation, and it is important to have good advocacy. But it's also important that the people that we choose to represent and advocate for us are the right people, and that they are people with integrity, and that they are people who have a great track record of caring and showing up and doing the right things and acting in the interests of others. And I'd like to see more of that, and hopefully we will. And look, these are the challenges with viral videos. I don't know what's going to happen with this. Maybe some people will watch it and care, maybe some people won't. But I'll feel better knowing that the information is out there, and that for all those people who have shared their anonymous stories, that I see you and I understand, and it's challenging, and hopefully this helps, and hopefully this sheds a little bit of extra light and context on a situation that has taken the goodwill of some people and maybe not done so much great with it, but that we can harness the goodwill of others and turn it into something really special, and keep advocating for people and pick up the torch for small business, because they do need help, and we do need to get behind them, and we do need to make sure that everyone gets out of this in as good a position as possible. So this has been a long PSA. I couldn't get this all in a reel, but thanks for watching. If you got to the end, I appreciate it. Keep looking out for one another, keep paying attention, and of course, as always, just be nice.